Stay on top of stories about stocks that may impact the market or your portfolio today in Stocks Making News.
Along with the plunge in oil prices comes fallout on the part of the oil companies. Tracey, Ryniec, and Dave Bartosiak here with me now to discuss one such example of some fallout on the part of, or coming from British Petroleum, BP. They recently announced plans to cut 5% of their global workforce, presumably in response to these falling oil prices. They also say they're planning to reduce global oil production. So, Tracey, do you think this is going to be enough to help them keep costs in check?
Well, they're hoping so. They already laid off about the same amount of people last year, but some of that had already been planned even before oil prices went down because of their enormous fines and legal fees that they had to pay from the Gulf of Mexico tragedy. So they already had that in place. Now they're just kind of adding a little bit more to it. So it'll be, about 10% of their global workforce when they're done with this round, and it is impacting a whole bunch of the different segments. It's not just the oil workers; they are doing office workers and across the board.
Yeah. And according to what I've seen, they still have to pay $20 billion in fines to resolve that 2010 Gulf spill.
Right. So they have other issues on top of what's happening in oil and natural gas, but they are a big integrated oil company. They have refineries. They have a lot of refineries, actually, and that area of the industry is doing well. So I did bring the estimates so we can take a look and kind of see what's happening. Earnings are expected to be down 44% in this year, 2015 still, because they haven't reported that final quarter yet. No one should be surprised by that. I mean, this is what's happening with everyone in the industry. And then next year is really what I was looking at. Still expected to decline another 17%. You can see the estimates actually are still falling still within the last week for next year, and that is just a function of crude keeps going lower and natural gas is still super weak. So the analysts have to keep cutting, but you can also see they are expected to be profitable. They pay this big dividend. That's kind of out there with a lot of these big integrated oil companies. Theirs is the highest in the entire industry that I've seen. That's more not government-owned, and it's yielding 8.3% right now. They've said in the past that that is untouchable. They're not cutting it, but that was several months ago when crude was quite a bit higher, and no one knows really what will happen in the future. But these big integrated oil companies will do whatever it takes to not have to cut that dividend because they know investors are buying for that dividend yield.
So they're set to report Q4 and full year earnings on the 2nd of February, is what the calendar says. When those reports come out, when is that net effect going to be felt as far as the stock price is concerned, do you think?
Well, it's already kind of feeling it right now.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, the shares are down 40% since the middle of 2014 when oil began its slide.
Right.
Right. So is this going to be yet another major hiccup to the downside?
You're hoping that a lot of this is priced in for the most part, right? Because unless oil gets that much worse. So here at $30 a barrel. I think Goldman came out and said it goes to 20, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of where the bottom end of this everybody's hoping will be, right? So at least we're starting to think about that possibility, and I think that now that we have that, maybe that's already priced into the stock. I'm hoping it's priced in, because if you take a look at the stock chart, it's pretty terrible.
It's near the bottom of your chart now.
Right
yeah,
there.
near the bottom end. I mean, it broke the lows of September. The other thing too here is if you see the kind of the, what is that, salmon? Let's call that salmon. Does that look salmon?
It looks kind of salmon-y.
A little salmon-y, the salmon color, around $30. Really, what that is, that represents where a lot of the volume went out there. So we've broken down below that band of volume, which is a little bit upsetting. Because when you have that battle at $30 and then you finally start to let loose, then you know that the market's just kind of probing lower again for some more support, and you're going to need to find some more volume to come in and prop it up. So 27.5 maybe, but there will come a time when you're looking at it and you go, I am getting paid 8.3%.
Yeah.
To sit here and wait.
Yeah.
So then it becomes more attractive, and there's not that many unknowns. We know that oil is in a rough patch right now. We know that BP is still going to have to write a check for the Gulf oil spill.
Right.
It's just, as long as there's no other huge unknown that pops up. There are known unknowns and unknown knowns, and however that line went. But I would be looking to start to peck a little bit at these oil names because everybody's still very bearish right now.
Yeah.
So when everybody's bearish, I'm a little bullish on these things.
All right, so part of the fallout centers around the smaller oil companies as well. They've already begun to file bankruptcy as a result of this. Are the larger names in jeopardy of that ever happening?
No, I don't think so, and I think it's actually a benefit for them that some of these smaller guys are going to go ahead and go under, because they went ahead, they spent the money to put the rigs in the ground and to initiate the fracking in a lot of cases, and now the big guys are going to be able to come in and buy those things for pennies on the dollar after they start going belly up, which we've already seen.
Right, and remember, they are more diverse than the smaller, just exploration guys you were just mentioning. So they have refineries, they have service stations. I mean, they're the complete package. So, people are still buying gasoline for their cars.
Right.
That area is still doing well.
Okay, well, you guys go ahead and keep debating salmony. I'll say thank you for joining in the conversation. And if you want more information on stocks, stock picking strategies, commentary on the market, go on over to Zacks.com. It's all there for your consideration and review. Link to it all off the homepage with Tracey and Dave. I'm Terry Ruffalo.